Once again, I'm going to make sure that you're aware that I have additional content for Vlogmas available to contributing members on my website. If you'd like to see another video every day with additional questions and quizzes that help you challenge yourself in your ascension process, then go to my website, links are below, and become a member. If you are a member, simply go to Vlogmas 2023 in the drop down menu, and you will see it says Vlogmas program, and click on that and then sign up for the Vlogmas program, and you can start your journey there. Hope to see you there. Hello everybody, I have my kitty today. Hello, this is Ixie. She just got up from a nap, so she wanted to say hello. Today, I've had a hard time trying to figure out a subject to talk about today. And all of these things kept happening, distractions. So I just go with it. Whenever I get distracted, I just go with it because it's leading me somewhere. And I had a great conversation with a friend of mine. One of the things we touched on was levels of awakening, that sort of thing, and breakthroughs. So talking about recognizing, and I mentioned in one of my videos earlier about having these breakthroughs in awareness and what it does. So for example, like I keep mentioning Enki's love letter, and I don't know if it's okay. I don't know if it's everybody has things that are important to them, things that are meaningful to them in their experience. But to me, Enki's love letter was a huge aha moment, and part of that was because it was part of my story. And so seeing that the zodiac was a love letter to the divine feminine, and that everything here was using the zodiac to communicate to her so she could find her way home, which is why sailors use the stars to navigate their way home, because that's what they're there for. They're telling the story that leads you home. And when I realized that the story, the Taurus, the tarot, the play, the whole play is a love letter. It is a beautiful love letter to the divine feminine for her to wake up, so she remembers who she is and she comes back to him. It's beautifully told in the movie The Notebook, which is interesting because there's a lot of people who are kind of conflicted about that film. They think, well, what's so great about it? But at the same time, it was a very simple story, but it resonated with a lot of people and became a huge hit. And so the story of The Notebook is that this young couple, they get together when they're young, and then they're about to get married, but then they get separated, and she moves away and he writes to her every day, but the mother interferes and she never gets the letter. So the mother being the Matrix, her daughter never gets the letter, so she doesn't know that he loves her. And so that's the separation of like her leaving. So they have the union and then they're separated, so she leaves to go to the other world basically, and the mother keeps them apart by not allowing the communication to get through to her. But he's still talking to her, he's still writing to her, he's still trying to get through to her. And so the love letter being the star story, everything here is trying to get through to her, everything is speaking directly to her. And so she comes home for a while and happens to see him. And again, they go through this, going over the past And she's like, well, how come you never wrote to me? He's like, I wrote to you. I wrote to you every day for a year. She said, I don't understand. I didn't get any letters. And then she finds out that her mother kept them from her. And so they reunite. The reason the mother interferes is because she wanted her daughter to marry someone better. Because I guess he was lower class. She was kind of upper class. And so she wanted her to marry an upper class guy. And so they reunited and they got together, and then they ended up getting married and living in this house he was repairing. And it's on another level, you can say too that he was building a house. So he's preparing a house, which is meditation. So he's focused on bringing her back, and he's preparing a house for her, and then she finds him and they end up living there. But on the other end of the film, we find out that this whole movie is basically a retelling of their love story together, because she has forgotten him because she has dementia. So he reads to her every day, which is the same story. So he's reading the star story to her, hoping that she wakes up for a moment to hear him so she comes back to him. And that is what the Notebook is, basically the star story. And same with the Adjustment Bureau. David finds out that Elise loves him, and she says, you love me. I know you love me because of this book. And the book, you know, like it's written in the book. The book is the star story. So it's written in the stars. And there's multiple layers, there's multiple levels to the star story. So anyhow, when I discovered this, it's really quite interesting actually. When I discovered this, it was mind-blowing. I felt it in my core. And it just expanded my mind, because I could see some connections because of that revelation. I started to see the connections. I started to see how it all fit together and how it all made sense, and also how all of that fit into my own life, my own story. And it really ripped me apart. I mean, I was in agony. And I've mentioned many times I've felt this agony that was shown on Don't Worry Darling when she starts to remember. That's how it feels. It feels like somebody is ripping my insides out. And it's a good thing and a bad thing, because it's taking away the lies, it's taking away the deception or the illusion or the falsities, and it's making connections. But also when it's making those connections, it's connecting to a deep-rooted love that has been forgotten, and it's been buried. And it's heartbreaking, and it's painful to realize that we've lived so long without it. And at the same time, it's so powerful and so beautiful that the love is really hard to take. So all of that is going on at the same time, which is why it's so painful. So I'm going to read to you my entry, because I do automatic writing, and I'm going to read to you what I wrote while I was going through that process of talking about Enki's love letter until the point of realization, because I realized it while I was doing automatic writing. I realized what it meant. So automatic writing is a little interesting. It's a little weird, perhaps, to some people. But all it is talking to your higher self. Whether you label it guides or what have you, doesn't matter. You can talk to anybody you want. But so I talk to one of my guides and have a dialogue while I automatic write. And sometimes it's source, it doesn't matter. It's still my higher self. It's just a higher level of awareness that I'm talking to, which is within me. And so while talking like that, it frees me up into receiving answers to things, to questions that I have. So I will have, sometimes I'll have questions where I just sort of put it out to the universe, and then the answer comes to me later. But when I do automatic writing, it comes to me almost right away. And sometimes it's a little bit vague, but sometimes it's very specific. But regardless, the conversations that I have are extremely enlightening, and I've had many revelations in automatic writing. And all of these revelations that I have expanded my consciousness and expanded my awareness of where we are, who we are, what's going on, levels of truth. And many of them come with that kind of agony, unfortunately. But again, with every agonizing revelation, on the other side is beauty and love and strength and power. So I won't take away the agony. It's not a horrible agony. It's kind of a beautiful agony. At first, when you experience it, you think you're gonna die. But after a while, you get used to it, and it's not that bad. But I did ask if any of you have experienced that. So I'll ask again. And I've had it many times. So I'm gonna find it and I'll come back. This was a session I wrote December 3rd, 2022. There's a lot in here that I don't really want to share, that really kind of sound weird to you. So I'm gonna have to be artful about what I share here. Okay, maybe I should paraphrase some of this. If there's something I can read out loud, I'll read it. But so it's talking about Aphrodite and Adonis and their love affair, and I got the response that that's about human love from a goddess, which is different. There's pain in it. Pain of longing, loss, heartbreak, death, because he is mortal and the goddess is immortal. And that was the beginning of the Heartbreak Hotel. So the Heartbreak Hotel is what we live in, this is what was created out of heartbreak, the story, the tarot. And that's why we're in a Taurus, because we live in a story, and the story is formed out of heartbreak, which I showed in the Barbie video. It was necessary and not as bad as it seems, as it's all fake anyway. And so I said, hold on, is this all a love letter from Enki to get the divine feminine to remember? Yes, just like in Free Guy, Keys wrote Millie into the story, and it was a love letter to get her to wake up, to remember who she is and see that she loves him. So all the notes and hints are coming from Enki. Yes. Okay, so essentially the divine feminine, her role is to wake up the world, and the divine masculine's role is to wake up the divine feminine. So this is why, let's see here. Remember the part in Free Guy when Ryan Reynolds spoke directly to Millie through the game screen, and Keys told her that he programmed him to like all her favorite things? So isn't that a bit narcissistic? His love letter is to create a version of himself in this world that would talk to the divine feminine so she remembers who he is. So the stories do repeat over and over, and the response was yes, because the stars circle in the same patterns. And I said, oh my God, the love letter is the zodiac. Yes, Enki wrote the story in the stars for the divine feminine to find her way home. And then that connected to, look at the stars, look how they shine for you and all the things you do. So in this revelation, as I had the revelation, it was kind of like, oh my God. So I went to find the scene on YouTube and look at it, and it was really funny because that was what Millie did. Millie did the same thing so she was in the video game, and Guy said to Millie, I'm just a love letter to you. Somewhere up there is the author. So she realized, she did the sort of, oh my God. And then when she came out of the game, what she did was she did some research on her computer. And I did research on my computer looking for the scene from the movie. And she went and did research on her computer looking for the clip from Keys, basically talking about how Keys wrote the character of Guy sort of based on himself, as the reason that he fell in love with Millie is because he was in love with Millie too.